Hello boys, how's it going? I wanted to talk about this video that you've all seen floating around on the internet. I miss the old Idubbbz. It's a 17-minute long apology video for the content cop videos that Idubbbz is most famous for. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off this video by saying it's pretty off the cuff. I just want to kind of throw out tangents because this has been on my feed for the last few days. Everyone's pretty much talked about it. And I've had a few things that I wanted to bring up as well, being the fact that I was pretty invested in this entire community back during its heyday. Now, obviously, Idubbbz is a pretty big inspiration for some of the content that I've produced on this channel, especially when it comes to commentaries and critiquing individuals, but Idubbbz was part of a larger group of content creators, you know, your Filthy Franks, your H3H3, your Max Mofo, your Anything for Views. These guys collaborated together, and they produced some of the funniest content, but also some of the edgiest content. Edgy content in the sense that this was some TOS violating shit back in the day. Now, obviously, Idubbbz has changed as a person in recent years. There hasn't been a content cop in a while. He's done 2 boxing events, fucked around with squirrels for a bit, and last I checked, all right, he was making the most satisfying fidget toy, okay? So he's changed, all right? He's deviated from what he used to be doing. And to give you a little bit of an idea, all right, Idubbbz was the kind of guy that was, it's all okay or none of it's okay. I mean, to show you, Idubbbz is over here with the Quran, a machete, so on and so forth. And of course, if you think the Quran standing over here was just one example, Idubbbz is one of those dudes that honestly would have... I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a fatwa at this point, okay?
Something about electronics? That's weird that it was sent from an electronics place and it's the full-blown Quran. Some of you guys didn't bat an eye when I broke that Jesus VHS over my knee, but I know there's going to be a lot of people in the audience just cringing when I...
Yeah, he ripped the whole thing in half. Now, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, this guy was an edgier character. I would argue more edgier than all the other horsemen of the apocalypse back in the day. And to be honest with you, I personally, while I should be offended at the fact that Idubbbz did that as a Muslim person, I tend to just look the other way and not get so emotionally involved with anything on the internet. Obviously, Idubbbz was also most famous for the N-word, F-word slur, okay? And this slur was kind of the most, like, important catchphrase, okay? Everyone said it. This was the one thing that, like, if you looked up Idubbbz in the Urban Dictionary, he was the guy that made this slur. He fused the N-word and the F slur together, like Tears of the Kingdom, and that was pretty much how he went on with. Now, obviously, in recent years, Idubbbz has changed, and I'm pretty sure that as he gets older and he develops more life experiences, because last time I talked about him, when it came to, like, his sex worker rant, I really did feel like Idubbbz didn't have a crazy amount of life experiences. He honestly thought that, you know, working in like, the adult entertainment industry wouldn't have any impact in applying for a job application, at least it seemed at the time. Why would an employer care? Honestly, dude, if you're applying for a public-facing job where names can be Googled, pretty good chance that you don't want your, like, you don't want somebody in your company, their second or third result being like a gangbang, okay? It's very simple to understand why people think that way, okay? You know, your teachers at school, you look up her name and bam, or his name and bam, you come across like gangbang, butthole, like prolapses, so on and so forth. Easy to understand now that you think about it with that context. So obviously, ever since Idubbbz made that video, I realized this is somebody that I just don't see having crazy amounts of life experiences. When he was making this kind of content, he was like 28 years old, okay? So my age now, he was not some young teenager. This is a guy that had edgy humor nearly up to his 30s, okay? So now that he's 32, he has discovered empath, okay? He's become an empathetic person. He's got some empathy now, all right? Care for the human people around him. Now, I'm not here to gatekeep progress. I think everyone grows at a different rate. I just think it's kind of cringy that now you've discovered it. Now, obviously, there's a bit of criticism as to you've magically discovered empathy now that, you know, the YouTube system has changed, the internet has went less edgier, and now you got to be more brand friendly if you want to keep your career or meal ticket alive. And I would argue the internet is actually more toxic, okay? If you look at 2023 internet, with some of the wild shit we have floating around, it pays more to be toxic, okay? You're either completely non-toxic or you go right off the deep end. The algorithm rewards only extremes. Never rewards people that critically think. So this part is actually quite important too. I just want to stress the fact that obviously a lot of criticism could be that he's just cleaning up his image now for brands in the future. And yeah, well, that could absolutely be true. No joke about it. But to me, I think when I watch this video, I know he knows that this is a bad move because it's going to piss off every side of his audience. Speaking openly and candidly and self-introspection are things that rarely go fucking well on the internet, especially when you bring your fans on the content that you used to produce, the content that pretty much put you where you're at, the reason why a lot of your core fan base is the way that they are. By ostracizing yourself from that, cutting yourself off of it, you kind of like pretty much sow the seed in a lot of your fan base's head that they're the ones in the wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of amazing Idubbbz fans that are totally normal people that like edgy content, and that is what it is, right? It's how the internet works. Just like there's a small but absolutely vocal subset of his audience that just loves to look at the comedy and loves to look at the slurs and goes crazy. I'm a lot like Idubbbz when it comes to it's all okay or none of it's okay, right? I just don't like to use really, really bad slurs in a video because I think it just will make somebody feel really shitty if they watch my videos, okay? I kind of put the N word, the B word, the F word, all these words into the same pool, okay? I can make a joke without going down that beaten path, okay? I can make a joke without touching that. And I know that Ian can too. It's just obviously his brand of comedy was more towards the shock era, but we'll get to all of this in a little bit. Obviously, one of the reasons for this video was he had a come to Jesus moment when he came towards fans in real life. And we've all seen like clips from the Anthony Padilla podcast where, you know, he kind of called some of those fans basement dwellers because some of those people came up and said the NF slur to him in person. And again, it's like, what did you expect the audience to do, right? Like that's the kind of joke that you were saying. Obviously, people are going to come up to you and say the same wild shit that you've been saying. But there was another example that he actually mentioned in this apology video, which I'm going to get to now. He realized that as he came across certain fans in real life, some of them said these racial catchphrases, and he didn't like that, okay? It was like, God damn, that kind of hit me for a loop. Now, every creator comes across their fans, okay, at some point. Now, I've had great experiences with my fans, all right? Awesome experiences. You guys are great, all right? God damn, I love you. But generally, when it came to Ian, his relationship with certain fan bases, not all, obviously, but certain ones of them were just going up and saying, hey, Ian, NF slur. And there was one case where like a trans person came up to Ian and was like, damn, I know you don't like me. You probably don't like me, but can we get a photo together? This threw him for a loop, and he was like, God damn, maybe I got to course correct, change myself a little bit. And that's pretty much what sparked this big change, apparently, in Ian. And he grew up, okay? Generally, when you get past 30, okay, having your, edgy Discord jokes don't really fly anymore. You grow out of it. And I think a lot of it is due to the fact that as he gets older, as he develops a new friend circle or goes out and meets friends, he changes. I'll give you a great example, okay? If I made the same content that Ian did in terms of, being really laissez-faire with my slurs, if you will, if I was to go up to my current friend group now, and my current friend group is like the most normie individuals you could find, okay? They don't swing one way or the other way politically, they're just normal level-headed people. If I go up to them and there's a clip of me going NF slur, there's gonna be some eyebrows that are raised. And I feel like Ian's coming across that now, and it's pretty much brought up remorse into his eyes. And I can see a lot of like actual lack of self-confidence, okay? There's a severe lack of self-esteem in the 17-minute video, which made it incredibly depressing for me to actually sit through and watch. He felt like honestly, the way that he described himself, it was almost like if you weren't an Idubbbz viewer, you would think that he was like the right-hand man of David Duke from the Ku Klux Klan, when that's so far from the goddamn truth. Now, before somebody clips this and says, wow, I guess Muda's okay with racial slurs. Whoa, look at that guy. Muda might as well wear a big-ass hood on his head. No. Okay, let me explain something here, okay? Let me just make it patently fucking clear. I think racism is bad. I think a lot of this kind of stuff is bad. I think, shitting on people without ever having a joke is bad. Now, racial humor, edgy humor has a place, right? Like, obviously, plenty of comics and plenty of writers do it successfully. One of my favorite shows is South Park. One of my favorite episodes in it is the Randy N-word episode, where Randy goes on national television, says the N-word, and, people pretty much ostracize him from society. Now, obviously, one could probably sit and say, was it just a way for Trey Parker and Matt Stone to just throw the N-word on national TV for like an hour and a half, or sorry, a half an hour? No, because if you looked at the greater message of the story, one of the characters at the end, Stan and Token, Token pretty much says to Stan, hey, listen, you're never going to get it, right? So obviously Stan, not being a black kid, doesn't understand that those words punch a little bit differently when you're the actual person being targeted, right? Now, the reason why I'm saying, like, Idubbbz isn't as bad as David Duke or some actual racist on the internet is those kind of people exist. I've been shit on by racist people on alternative platforms. I don't care because my life is fucking infinitely better than theirs. And, you know, my only response to racism is to succeed, to do more, to do better, to have a good life, okay? To have a good wife, good life, good house, good whatever. And that usually pisses off anybody racist or anybody bigoted really hard. And it makes me fucking excited to piss off somebody like that every day. Success to me is just, pissing on the people that shit on me regardless. But obviously I consider myself and thick skin to be an exception to the norm. The thing about Idubbbz' content is if you were back in 2016, you pretty much would have to be part of that protected class that I guess you would have to be part of that minority class is a better term to put it. You know, the black people, the gay people out there, really anybody that was a minority, I guess the Muslims that had to see the Quran being ripped in half, to really understand just how offensive certain jokes can be. And when you're not part of that group, you might not be as impacted as hard. You may not look at it in the same context as somebody that is in that group, right? Like, I'm never going to understand what a black person goes through, right? Especially when the N-word is invoked around. It's one of the reasons why I said in the beginning, I just don't, again, use slurs in any video, okay? It's not really anything. I can't make a joke out of it, and even if I could, I'd have to think twice about pissing off a subsect of my community for absolutely no reason. At the end of the day, all right, Ian, I don't think he was a racist piece of shit throughout his entire endeavor, and I think a lot of those content cops do hold up in terms of their critiques to some of these individuals. But that also being said, if you're going to sit there and say that these kind of jokes never had any impact or harm, you kind of have to like really look at it critically, okay? It's a bit disingenuous to say that. But also, these are wild jokes. I also, again, will stress, I don't think these jokes are as bad as like some real legitimate racists that still exist on the internet on a lot of alternative platforms. And in some cases, right here on YouTube, okay? It's a wild world. Ian was a guy that used shock humor. And I think he regrets using that shock humor because he ultimately did cost some sleep for a lot of his, minority fans back in the day. I guess is where this apology is leading to. In reality, I think the Content Cop videos hold up a lot. He was generally criticizing people that were shitty to begin with. And in one case, he apologizes to Tana Mongeau, and he says, I'm sorry that I came to your convention, put my arm around you, and said the N-word. Now, obviously, I think you can apologize to Tana and then also realize, oh yeah, this is also like somebody that was involved in like shitty crypto shenanigans, not even like 2 years ago. So you can apologize to somebody for being shitty to them, but then you can also realize they're probably not that great of a person anyway, so let's just move on. And that's one of the things with this video, this apology video that kind of hit me. It feels like he has genuine remorse. And the reason I'm saying it's genuine is obviously people will say like, maybe this guy is pulling the ladder. Oh, he was edgy back in the day, made his money. Now he's just saying, fuck you guys. It's not okay to be edgy anymore. I don't think it's really that simple. Honestly, if Ian wanted to keep his career intact without losing any subs and retaining an amazing community that would have been there to constantly prop him up in the algorithm, would have been ideal for him to just continuously stay edgy. There is literally no consequence in that regard anyways. Now, one of the things that Ian has done beyond just apologize is he's unlisted every single one of those Content Cop videos that he's made, some of the most popular videos on his channel. So again, if he believes in this route that he's going down, this conviction that he has, this thing that's eating away at him, obviously it's very respectable that he takes down the content that he believes is the most harmful. It shows me that obviously, he has some convictions. If he simply made this apology and just like spent the next few years leaving that content up, then it would be a little bit hypocritical, right? It's like, I want to be this positive person, but I'm going to leave this quote unquote toxic material up. So obviously in that regard, I can see a level of conviction that's being offered into it, right? Again, I do believe a lot of those videos personally hold up, right? Like, yeah, there was some shock humor tossed around into them, but generally he went for at least some proper critiquing of those people's content at that specific time. So I think they still hold up personally. But again, it's all up to Ian. Everyone is the master of their own fucking channel, okay? And he honestly does believe, from what I understand, that this content breeds people into a negative space. So again, you know, we'll cover that as well too, because I think it's a fair discussion worth having. I was 20 plus when he made Content Cop videos, so I knew by then, obviously, racism bad, okay? You can't be just saying the N-word, it hurts people. And obviously, somebody that was 10, 12 at the time, 13, 14, may not think that way. They might be like, this is cool. But I think kind of one thing that I'm expecting out of this is like Ian maybe expects like a pat on the back or some shit, when in reality, not everyone's going to be cool with it. There's a lot of people that he, I guess, hurt throughout the years. And they're never going to be okay with this content. They're never going to be okay with an apology, and it is what it is. You know, there was a clip that he showcased from his recent boxing event where he was like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. You never are going to be everyone's cup of tea, okay? You probably burned some bridges back in 2016 that'll never fucking be mended, okay? There's probably going to be people, rightfully so, that look at Idubbbz and be like, yeah, this guy's not good. I don't like him. Fuck this loser. And some of his older fans, they'll be like, hey, are we pieces of shit for enjoying your content back in the day during its heyday? Yeah, the way that he's kind of patronized some of the audience here as well. So honestly, looking at some of this content over here, I can see that this guy is remorseful. I can see a completely broken man, no self-esteem in this regard. There was one moment where he straight up was like, I don't think I'm funny unless I'm being offensive, which is so far from the mark. The guy was a hilarious character. He was funny as fuck back in the day. Yes, he used some edgy humor, but it shows me that, yeah, there is a severe lack of self-esteem. Also, one thing that I can respect is the guy has some really good introspection. He's looking into himself. He's confronting parts of himself that aren't exactly easy to do. Now, at the end of the day, Idubbbz, yes, he's changed, all right? He's changed for what he thinks to be is the better person, all right? Now, at the end of the day, there's going to be people that love this shit and there's going to be people that hate this shit. I think it's cool that he's grown up. I think it's cool that he's changed for what if he wants to go down this road, I think that's cool. I think that's awesome. Now, at the end of the day, Idubbbz, not everyone's going to be rooting for you, okay? Not everyone's going to accept this apology. I think apologies pretty much rely mostly on action. You know, one of the cool people on the internet is PewDiePie, and PewDiePie is one of those guys where, like, back in the day, his content, the edginess of it, pretty much brought in some of the worst people imaginable. There was a mass shooter that even referenced PewDiePie. PewDiePie looked at his content, apologized for it, became mature about it, course-corrected what he believed needed to do, and nowadays he changed for what is the better, all right? At least for him. Now, again, I don't even think that jokes are bad. I'm not saying that PewDiePie even had to course correct. I know some people are often looking at these situations as if this is just the internet trying to censor or water people down. No, usually when situations as grim like that happen, people who are the content creators are going to look at themselves, at least try to hopefully introspect and realize, God damn, am I somewhat responsible for this, right? I don't personally think PewDiePie is responsible for any of that kind of stuff. But obviously, he felt like he did, and so he course-corrected, took away some of those Sup to PewDiePie memes, and moved on from it. And since then, his actions, rather than his words, have shown that he's diverted from that, and he's trying to, again, make people laugh, while trying to minimize, I guess, the harm or trying to appeal to fans that nobody wants to actually have as fans, all right? Anybody that's willing to commit really, really terrible acts like that is not somebody that you should be calling a fan or somebody that you should even be fucking catering to. They are, in fact, the scum of the earth, okay? People that are committing real, harmful, illegal actions, okay? Those are scum of the earth. And if that's a hot fucking take, and if you feel like you need to debate me on that, then I'm not going to bother responding. You can just leave, all right? It is what it is. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, Ian is trying to do too. And he's kind of like fucking beating himself up a little bit too much, I would say. But it is what it is, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Ian has changed. One of the other things he brought up was the fact that people keep shitting on his wife, Anissa, which absolutely happens. I think a lot of it is due to the fact that, yes, she is like, you know, a woman on the internet who does OnlyFans. And there's people who look at that as like a moral failing on Ian's part, which I don't want to get into somebody's relationship too much because it doesn't hold any weight to this criticism. Again, people call Ian a cuck. People call him tons of weird shit. Generally, that's their relationship. If they're cool with it, it doesn't really matter, okay? That's two people and their contract in life. shouldn't even appeal to you whatsoever. There are people that say like Anissa's pretty much forcing him to do these videos or shaming him, which is so fucking offensive to both of them. And it kind of shows that people baby Ian like he's a 32-year-old guy, okay? Trust me, he has the autonomy to make these decisions himself, all right? If he feels truly remorseful, that's fine, that's cool. At the end of the day, Ian has changed, and there's going to be parts of his audience that accepts this change and goes down forward into it. And the way that he's treated some of his older fans, there's going to be people that are burned by this, and in some cases, rightfully so, all right? There's going to be people that watch some of that older content and probably are like, that's really funny. You know, now I guess I'm a piece of shit for enjoying it. And there's genuinely people in that older fan base that are probably racist as fuck anyways, that looked at these videos, not so much for the critique, but mostly for the fact that they could spout some racist shit every once in a while. And he wants to distance himself from that, okay? That's pretty much what it comes down to. Honestly, looking at this in the last couple days, I really do just feel sad looking at Ian now. Obviously, a man that's gone from ripping Qurans in half to, you know, this. Pretty big difference. It shows that he's obviously pretty conflicted in what he is, and he has to face some demons. He had a come to Jesus moment, and now he's, he wants to change who he is for what he believes is the better. And I think coming out and talking like this so candidly, knowing that no matter what you do, it's going to piss people off on the internet, piss off your fan base, piss off people that weren't even going to be your fans to begin with, is just not an easy thing to do. And I mean, if you were looking at it purely taking away your emotion, not even a cost-effective thing to do either. But he wants to change himself for the better, and I'm always there for somebody that wants to make themselves better in what they believe to be the case, right? If he wants to be a more positive, more well-rounded person, then I have no reason not to support the character. I just think going on forward, obviously actions are a little bit more telling than just the words. So we'll have to see with Idubbbz' future content going on. I still do firmly believe that the kind of content that he made wasn't on the same equivalence as somebody really, really bad, in the world that a lot of people seem to just constantly keep bringing up. But if you want to disagree with me on that, then feel free. Let's go. Let's talk about nuance all day, every day. But that being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough. I don't have any more Mirror's Edge footage to show you. I am out.